You know, something that was really surprising to me early in my career, I'd say even when I was still doing my internship to become a clinical psychologist, I was so surprised to learn how physical our inner life is. Yeah, I'm becoming a psychologist because I'm interested in everything in the head, right? Everything up here. And yet, the deeper I got into my training, the clearer it was to me that in fact, humans are not having experiences up here in their heads. They're having experiences in their bodies. And that if I'm going to do a good job in helping people get free of habit patterns that keep them detached and disconnected and anxious and isolated and lonely, I'm going to have to help people get into their bodies. That was a total game changer for me early in my clinical career. And so now I want to share that with you because so often when I ask people about their feelings, the answers they give me are not physical things at all. I'll get an idea or a story about a feeling, or I'll get a reason why the feeling is warranted. And it's quite challenging, actually, when I ask someone, and well, tell me about your sadness. It's very challenging for people to be able to connect physically to what that feeling feels like. But you know, we call them feelings for a reason. We call them feelings because we feel them. And even if we're not conscious about the fact that we feel them, that is the truth of it. We feel them, and we feel them in our bodies. So we need to know, and there's an example of vulnerability. I'm talking about vulnerability all the time. We're probably going to hear my dogs barking because it's close to dinner time, so I'll just let that be part of our video. As I'm coming home to my body and noticing a little spike of my own unrest, vulnerability. I'm not in charge of everything, at least, you know, that's what it looks like to me. I'm not in charge of Harry. Harry's not in charge of getting his dinner for himself, so we're all vulnerable. But if you look at it physically, emotion is in your body. As I say, the example of sadness, right? There's a wave-like function to emotion. It rises, it crests, it ebbs, and then it moves on. It's like a flow through us, and it takes us somewhere, which is very important to be aware of, that emotion actually has an agenda to take us somewhere. And to be even more precise, its agenda is to take us somewhere adaptive, somewhere that allows us to have a more accurate relationship with reality. Emotion is tremendously important to us. It gives us energy and information about what's true. Another physical aspect of your inner life is, I call it unrest. It's a nervous system spike that signals the rise of emotion. It's a sympathetic nervous system activation that feels like a little jolt. That's a wake-up call, helping you notice that a wave is coming through, because it's such an important experience, and something very wise in us knows that if we can tune in right at that moment, we can benefit from this wave of experience. And then there's another kind of physical thing that happens, which is that if that spike is not consciously noticed and taken care of, we can go into a defense, which is something that we do to move away from the vulnerable, uncomfortable feeling of unrest in the body. And there's like a blocking. And at that point, the body shifts. And we can have different things that happen at that point, depending on the defenses that come in. But just in general, this idea that you're having an experience of your life in your body, and that's really the bread and butter of someone like me, to help you be able to experience your inner life in your body. So I think it's important that we understand that emotion isn't something that we have control over. We do have choices. We have choices in terms of what we want to do when emotion rises, how we want to be toward ourselves. But emotion is very much like a wave. I make this gesture when I talk about emotion because in the physical experience of it, it has that quality of rising, cresting, and ebbing. And it's useful to think about a wave the way a surfer would make use of a wave. The surfer doesn't cause the wave or create the wave. There's no steering wheel on a wave, so the surfer is not directing the wave to where she or he wants to land on the shore. But the surfer is not completely without anything to do. In fact, it's really important to have good core strength, for example, and to practice good balance, and to have, a good board, obviously, to be on so that you can ride that wave all the way through to where it wants to take you. But I want you to hear how passive that language is, that you are taken somewhere, you are moved by emotion. And that is vulnerable. That is so vulnerable. We yield or surrender to this experience of emotion to be taken somewhere. And if we are able to do that, we can grow. All of this is incredibly physical, and the work in therapy with me, when I'm working with people, is to help people notice that spike of unrest, that jolt that is heralding this rise in emotion, and to help people understand that this is a call to come home. This is a wake-up call. This isn't meant to be an alarm that makes you run away from yourself, although unfortunately, because it comes through the sympathetic nervous system, we will often unconsciously, without even realizing it, perceive, or I want to say misperceive, the signal as danger, and then again unconsciously exit from our experience and miss out on that wave of emotion that wanted to inform us about what was true and give us energy to do something about it. And instead, we are locked into some kind of defense. We're busy, we're distracted, we're trying to control things, all the different ways that we exit our experience. So the work really is to grow our ability to perceive inner sensations in the body. That's what I mean by coming home to the body. There's a very big word called interoception, which it's a mouthful, but it's a really useful word. Interoception means the perception of your internal physical sensations. And it's a very valuable capacity to practice and grow. Because if you can tune into these signals from your body, you are able to soothe the body. You're able to give it the message that this jolt isn't danger at all. It's a wake-up call. Just like when your alarm clock goes off in the morning, you're not meant to be alarmed. It's not like it's a 5-alarm fire. It's actually just wake up, start your day, right? And the same with unrest. It's wake up, come home to your body, and get the benefit of this amazing growth-promoting experience of emotion. We need to understand that there you go, Harry. That's all right. I'll just keep going. That the body's prime directive is to keep you alive. And Harry thinks he'll die if he doesn't get dinner now. But if you understand that the body can be soothed by interoception, if you are capable of tuning in and paying precise attention to your body in the moment that you're jolted with this energy, you will be able to soothe that alarm in the body and open up to emotion. Now, if you don't, if you accidentally miss it, if you're tuning out, if you're distracting or defending in other kinds of ways, the body stays in a state of arousal. And in that state, the body doesn't know it's safe. And your body's very loyal. It's loving. It's very loyal. It's as loyal as a dog. And I know about dogs. They're very loyal. And your body will hijack your brain really and not allow you to, if you will, indulge in emotion. You're in a more fight-flight state. You're oriented kind of tunnel vision. You're oriented outward. You've got to find out where the danger is and deal with it. And far too many people are living their lives in that fight-flight kind of prey animal way, oriented to where's the danger, how am I supposed to get away from that? And of course, in that state, the riches of your emotional experience aren't available to you. I mean, and that makes sense, right? If you were really in danger, really, who cares how you feel? Just get out of there. But most of us, most of the time, when we're signaled, we're not in danger at all. There's no physical threat to life and limb. There's something happening that we wish wasn't happening, like my dog's barking in the middle of a video, right? It's not danger. It's a limit to control over something that you want to have happen, right? So the beauty of being able to come home to the body and soothe the body is that you open to feelings that are going to grow you into more of who you're meant to be. And that is a beautiful, beautiful gift when we can cultivate and grow this inner perception tool, this interoception ability. At the end of the day, your relationship to your body is your relationship to life. And if you are able to tune in the moment, to be tracking yourself with care, with precision, you're going to have a quality of life that is abundant and full. If your relationship to what's happening in your body is neglectful, tuned out, dismissive, critical, judgmental, impatient, then really that's your relationship to everything in your world, everything in your life. So my book, Embracing Unrest, Harness Vulnerability to Tame Anxiety and Spark Growth, is all about coming home to the body with warm interest and non-judgment so that you can have a loving relationship with your body, which is really a loving relationship with your life.